10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2.
Power Hour, live on the CompetitionPlus.com platforms. Welcome to each and every one of you ready to talk drag racing. Hit the like button and share as well. Dive into the comments section. We've got two great guests lined up. The 2023 NHRA Top Alcohol Dragster Champion, Julie Nataas, who made her debut in Top Fuel this past weekend, and also Angelle Sampey, multi-time champion in NHRA and two wheels, doing it full-time on four wheels in Top Alcohol Dragster. We'll have her later on the show. Michael Narks is with me tonight. Don't adjust your television set. No, there are two red beards on your screen at the moment. Michael is the man to seek after to know all things drag and drive, repeat. He's also the social media and marketing manager there at Osage Casino, Tulsa Raceway Park, there in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And he also does some dabbling with the Midwest Drag Racing Series. Michael, good to have you on the Comp Plus Power Hour to co-host for the first time.
Lee, I just want to say thanks. This is awesome, man. I appreciate the opportunity.
So before we do get to Julie, she's in the green room. We are going to chat with her in just a few moments. Do want to take the time, folks. We all know the storylines of how hard Eastern Tennessee and Western North Carolina has been hit. Western North Carolina is just up the road from my home, and things back at my neck of the woods where even Bobby Bennett lives was rather tough storm-wise as well. But Western North Carolina in particular hit with something that is once in like 200 years type of situation. But there are those in the racing community that have stepped up and they're trying to make a difference. I know I've seen posts by Lyle Barnett. I think of Cletus McFarland, Garrett Mitchell, using his own private helicopter flying supplies in, Greg Biffle, the former NASCAR star. But there are places, if you just take the time, and we're going to repeat this again in the show, go by their social media and get more information, such as Shady Side Dragway, Charlotte Motor Speedway, Wilkesboro Dragway, North Wilkesboro Speedway. Those in the racing community, they are doing collections to go into Western North Carolina and take supplies. So we'll mention that again, but there are those in the racing community stepping up, and that is certainly good to hear. We always say, Michael, that, well, the racing group, the racing outfit, the traveling circus that it is a family, and I'm glad to see these folks stepping up the way they are.
Yeah, that's for sure. It's been pretty heartwarming to see all the stuff from people across the country. Really, there's some friends of ours that are doing some stuff in Detroit that are gathering stuff up there. Corey Nicholson has borrowed a trailer from somebody. They're filling a trailer and they're going to make a trip down. And of course, Garrett making the trips on the helicopter. So like 40 helicopters were there providing extra support.
It was impressive for sure. So Julie Nataas made her Top Fuel debut at Worldwide Technology Raceway this past weekend, and she also joined the lineup of Red Line Oil drivers. When you go into the red line, you want Red Line to keep your stuff right and safe and to compete in that red line.
Reliability to drive thousands of miles. Confidence for those who fly high. Redline Oil products give you the power to crush the competition and a track record of being the best. Redline Oil products. You push it to the limit, we'll protect it.
Julie Nataas, welcome to the Competition Plus Power Hour once again, and very glad to be talking to you under these circumstances. No longer wondering when you're going to get to Top Fuel. You've already made your debut. Congratulations.
Thank you, and thanks for having me on the show again.
So, Julie, let's begin here. Why this year and this March towards debuting in particular at Worldwide Technology Raceway? Many people they have seen what you put on social media and that you've been building to it. But give us on the show here the road from the end of Pomona being a champion in 2023 to debuting in 2024 at Worldwide Technology Raceway.
I don't think it necessarily has anything to do with the fact that I won the championship last year. My Top Fuel, like not only getting my license, but getting to the point where I'm getting to my debut weekend has something that I've been ready for the last 2 or 3 years. It's just I haven't been ready to be done with Top Alcohol Dragster, so I haven't necessarily pursued it as much as I am at this point. I have a championship under my belt. I don't really know what else there is to do in that class. I have been running it since 2017, and I have a championship and a couple of regional championships. I have several JEG All-Stars win. I have Sportsman's Driver of the Year a couple times. And at this point, I feel like it's time for me to go challenge myself as a driver and do something else. So that is really where that was coming from. I thought I was going to get my license last year, but it didn't really work out. And this year, the stars aligned. Is that what you say?
Yeah, now listen, I don't know a lot about the level of drag racing that you're doing, but walk me through the difference in launching or just the burnout. Let's talk about just the burnout in those two different cars. How much more fun is the Top Fuel car than the Top Alcohol car?
It's really not that much of a difference, to be honest with you. The only thing I have to say, though, is that in my A Fuel car, me and the rest of my team at Random Eye Racing, we're known for our short burnouts. We barely step on the gas pedal in the burnouts. And in a Top Fuel Dragster, you do have to stay on it a little bit longer. So the first couple times I did my burnouts in the Top Fuel car, I got back and they're like, "You're not in your A Fuel car. You need to do a little bit of a longer burnout." I'm like, okay, cool.
That's awesome.
Right. Yeah. Randy Meyer with itty bitty burnout.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure. He's able to stay on the loud pedal a little longer in the Top Fuel. Speaking of Randy, and then Rob Flynn, I know both of them, think of them very highly. Two different guys, similar guys. You know, what's Rob Flynn like? What's Randy Meyer like? I'm sure Rob's been coaching a little bit along with many others, but what's that been like going into the Top Fuel ranks?
It's been really cool to work with someone else other than Randy, because I've only ever worked with Randy in this world of racing, except for my dad, of course, but being a professional driver, that's been Randy. Rob Flynn has been awesome. He's someone that you look at and you're like, yeah, that's for sure a crew chief. Like the way you're talking to him or the way he's talking with you, it's been great.
Well, that brings up a question. Sorry to interrupt, Lee, but what does your dad think? So walk me through kind of your work with your dad, how long he was your crew chief, and then what that conversation is like now with him.
With my dad at this point, I think he's just doing whatever I'm doing. Like he's just a proud dad, not really saying that much or interrupting, as we'd say, because the worst thing you can have in your pit is, like, not just for me, that's any driver, which we have experienced that they're in the Random Eye Racing pit, is having parents that are always walking in there wondering what we're doing, questioning the tune-ups or questioning the crew guys, or even questioning the drivers. So to have the parents, which is only because they're so passionate about the sport and what their kid's doing, but having them get involved at that point is just a little too much and not always the greatest idea. And my dad we're very great at that. He is in the background and he will step in and help if we do need it. And he understands that. He understands the importance of each and every one of us having our own task that we are doing, and that he can't just come in there that one weekend that he's there to do someone else's job or start questioning what we're doing, because we all have a job. He doesn't, other than being my biggest supporter. And that's not saying that in a bad way. I love having my dad at the races, and I think my team does too. Like, he's there to pack my fire suit, actually, my parachutes, and helps out. And he's backing me up in my A-Fuel car. So he's only a big supporter at this point.
That's great. That is
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, Thomas Nate is a pretty cool dude, and I'm sure at this point he's trying to figure out, let's see, how can I go quicker than my baby girl? Like, she's got me beat right now. That's pretty cool, Julie. You're faster and quicker than old dad. That's pretty cool.
It's pretty cool. I have tried to say that I want him to drive again just so that, we can race each other, but apparently he is far ahead at that point. He's not getting back in a race car, so I guess I'm just going to have to keep beating his records.
Yeah. I think that's what generational stuff is supposed to do. You're supposed to be better than, as a father myself, I hope that my daughters do better and more than I do.
Right.
So, Julie, the weekend of Worldwide Technology Raceway Top Fuel debut, bring us back like Sunday before firing up the Top Fuel car for an actual round one of eliminations. Was this something that you weathered, and you've been doing this a while, but this was Top Fuel? Like, were there any nerves involved? Was it just business as usual? Where was Julie Nataas all the way up to round one?
Sunday is the most calm I feel like I've been on the starting line, getting ready to drive the Top Fuel car. I of course wish I had those 2 qualifiers on Friday, because we lost 2. Like, that's 2 extra runs that could have made me even more comfortable in the car. So Sunday, going up there, I had 8 laps under my belt in a Top Fuel car, and I was going to race Tony Schumacher. And I knew that I just had to, go up there and look at it as this is just another run that I am doing. It's another qualifying pass or test pass for me, but I'm also going to go out there and win. So because I was the most comfortable I have been in that car so far, I felt good. I was, of course, a little bit nervous, but if you're not, then I don't think you wanted enough. But it wasn't like nervous to the point where I couldn't do it, if that makes sense. It was like good nerves.
Yeah, I always tell my daughters it's kind of it's okay to have some anxiety as you go into doing something really cool,
Yep.
So Dave W., always with some great stats for us, he says that you and your dad joined Dick and Kim LaHaye and also Bobby and Krista Baldwin as the 3rd father and daughter combination to qualify for an NHRA national event in Top Fuel. That's in some rare air.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I actually didn't know that. I haven't even really thought about that, but that is true. My dad did race over here, and that was in Top Fuel.
That's
in an elite group for sure. Now, why Scrappers Racing? If anybody is close enough to the scene, they kind of really know that answer. But outside, you see just national event coverage. Why for you, Scrappers Racing was this place to have a debut, a place to get your license, the place to springboard your career for the NHRA as a Top Fuel driver?
Well, it kind of just happened. Gainesville earlier this year, Mike kind of looked at me and he was like, so are you going to get in a car, or like, what's going on? Like, you got a car right here. Like, just jump in one of ours. I'm like, okay, maybe I'll do that. And then Mike had his thing and all of that happened, and Jasmine jumped into the car for him, or taking over for him as a driver. So we kind of didn't talk a whole lot about it, but my friend Travis Shoemake had bought a new to him Top Fuel dragster and trailer. So he started, saying how I should get my license in his car, and that would be great. And it would have been great. But the problem was that dragster is way too big for me. I cannot safely sit in that race car and go down the racetrack. So that was never something that we can make happen. And I just kept telling Travis that, but he was like, no, we can make it work. And I'm like, no, it's not going to work. But since he had bought this trailer and dragster, it was parked inside of Scrapper's shop. And I helped him with the renovation of that trailer. And Rob Flynn one day was like, Travis, like, Julie cannot drive this race car. You got to stop this. But she will fit great in Mike or Jasmine's car. And that's kind of when that came up again. So a couple months later, we started talking more about it, and we found a day to go testing and get my license, which was Virginia, like Monday after that race. I got my license, and that was really all I had planned for at that point until Airmine, my main sponsor it's a Norwegian technology company, a pollen weather forecast app or technology company, as you can call it. They said that if I can make my debut this year and I can do that with a great car, potentially in the car that, I got my license in, then why not? They're here for it.
Mm-hmm.
So went back to Scrappers, and they obviously wanted to try out this 2-car team thing because that was already on their schedule and on their plan with Mike and Jasmine. But because Mike can now not drive it, well, there was an extra car and 2 extra trailers kind of just halfway ready to go. They just needed someone to drive and use it. So they put it all together. They found a team. It was pretty cool. It was all career guys that used to work full-time on Top Fuel cars or Fenwick cars in the past. They all came out for this one race to help me out, and the Scrappers team. And that's kind of how that all happened. But what not a lot of people know is that we have known the Salinas family for a long time. Mike Salinas and my dad, Thomas, they first became friends whenever they both raced Top Fuel here. I see here, like,
Wow.
Mike is not from here, but when Mike first started racing Top Fuel in NHRA, and my dad raced Top Fuel in NHRA, they kind of became friends, and Mike brought the girls over to Hockenheim where my dad was racing. So we spent some time with them as kids, and whenever we would come back over here to either be spectators or my dad would be racing again, and we would hang out. So we've known them for quite a long time.
What's it like getting that gang back together? What's the age differences in you and the Salinas girls?
Gianna and I are probably the ones that are the closest. She's a year younger than me. Jasmine is, I don't know, 4 or 5 years older than me.
How fun! I bet you girls ran rampant. I bet that was a fun group of folks running around.
Yeah.
Yeah, in a historical weekend, there has, from what I understand, never been that many ladies qualified for an NHRA Top Fuel field at one time. Yourself, Jasmine, with Ida Zetterstrom, and also Brittany Force. Fascinating that we're looking at a potential next year that a half a field for Top Fuel racing could be ladies.
Right. And I was honestly kind of surprised when that was like a big thing, because in my head, there's more than 4 girls driving Top Fuel cars. I just didn't realize that there hadn't been 4 girls racing Top Fuel at the same time, coming from a field where in Charlotte, half the field was females. I'm like, okay, well, haven't we done this before? But we haven't. But
Yeah.
I think it's so normal in our sport that we have female drivers that are driving at this level. We're just and being a part of it, you're getting used to it, which when you look at it, it's so not normal. Like looking at other sports, at other motorsport, that's not normal. So it is very cool that we do have that in our class and in our sport. And I had to go back and think about that and remind me that this is not normal everywhere else.
Yeah, that's
right.
really
And it's across the board. I mean, we've got Alex Taylor in Dragon Drive and great representation there. And, I think of Jade Cook in Funny Car Chaos, and you've got Mary Reap, and all across the board in drag racing. No matter what area it is, you can find lady representation. But you go into other motorsports, and I'm sure you're going to test to Europe. Like, when are we going to have a female F1 driver? When is that finally going to happen at the highest level? And it seems like no one can quite crack in and be successful at the highest level of NASCAR Cup, for example. So drag racing kind of has the monopoly on it as of right now.
Yeah, it sure does.
So yeah, you need to win in Top Fuel and go back to Formula, Julie. And yeah, that's what you need to do.
I think that's past my point at this.
Right.
She only likes to make one turn. That's at the end of the track.
Yeah, at this point, I think that's the one and only turn I'll make.
That's awesome. Well, I did have a question. You said you were testing on Monday, and there's not, I mean, for the outward public, there's not a ton of that kind of stuff that's covered, but how many teams typically test on Monday after an event like that?
It really depends. I know there was a lot more teams than what actually tested that were supposed to be there, but because it was so hot and muggy that weekend, people wanted to find somewhere else to test, and kind of a lot of cars and people actually left. So not a lot of people were there.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right, Julie, the natural question is, you made a debut. When can we see you next in a Top Fuel dragster in NHRA competition?
I have no clue. I wish. I am working on it, but there's no set plans that I can say or announce yet. But I am working on something for 2025. I'm leaving Randy Meyer Racing, so I won't be in my A-Fuel car next year. So I'm still jobless, but working on it, and hope to have some good announcements either at the end of this season or the beginning of the next one. Because I love this and I want to do this forever and ever. And it's almost like I feel depressed sitting at home like, oh, it's over. That was my weekend. Now what? Yeah.
I can appreciate that.
Yeah.
Now, there's a whole other side of this. I don't know how many times this has been thrown your way. I'm sure it has. You've got the Top Fuel license for the NHRA. What about the crossover to funny car license beyond the one that you already have to go ride at the ETs a mile per hour that are allowed? What about a big show funny car in Julie Nataas's future?
Yeah, I've been wanting to drive a funny car for the longest time, which I think you know because I've been in the A-Fuel funny car. And it's kind of part of the reason why I have been in it, so that I can start that learning curve to driving a nitro funny car, because it's a whole different monster to drive. But I would absolutely love to drive a funny car. So if that happens next year, I'm not mad about it at all.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, Julie, look, congratulations. Keep living the dream. Thank you for your time, and it was a solid debut.
Thank you. And thank you so much for having me back on your show.
See you, Julie.
See ya.
And talk about a fun opportunity. Wow, that's pretty cool.
Yes, it is. And it's, as mentioned, it's fascinating that you think, oh, we've hit another historical marker with, female participants in the sport of drag racing. And it's like, we haven't hit that already? It's pretty wild that is the case. So it is cool to see that. And again, there's the potential, as we've seen in Top Alcohol Dragster, that there may be a time that you have Ida Zetterstrom, a Krista Baldwin, a Julie Nataas, a Jasmine Salinas, a Brittany Force. If Leah Pruitt comes back, that and whoever else might be stepping up and coming into the ranks, that half the field in Top Fuel is ladies. That's wild.
That's cool.
It is. It certainly is. Well, speaking of Top Alcohol Dragster, we just talked to the 2023 champion of the NHRA Top Alcohol Dragster ranks. Now we're going to transition, go to a break here in just a few moments, and talk to a lady that is competing in the Top Alcohol ranks this year, vying for a championship, won her first national event in Top Alcohol Dragster. She's no stranger to winning national events, and certainly no stranger to winning championships, and that is Angelle Sampey. We're going to be talking with her in just a few moments, right after this word from Competition Products. Michael, if you're going to compete, some of the best products, you're going to get them from Competition Products.
Competition Products, your source for hardcore engine parts for street, strip, and oval track. Our free catalog is packed with hundreds of product lines from the best-known manufacturers in the performance industry. Lowest prices guaranteed. Free shipping and handling on all orders over $149 in the continental U.S. Need expert advice? Our knowledgeable staff is just a phone call away. Competition Products. Race parts sold by racers since 1970.
Angelle, good to have you on.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Oh, wow. Hey, congratulations on that national event win in Top Alcohol Dragster. I imagine you got to feel like the monkey's off your back or something.
We hadn't been competing that long. Going into Dallas next weekend, or weekend after next, will be 1 year that I've been in the car. So we haven't been trying that long for a while, but after 27 years now I've been in the sport of NHRA drag racing, and that was my 47th Wally, and it still felt like the first one I ever earned. So we were working hard for it, and I think my team really deserved it. They do an awesome job. The Mihalik brothers racing, Corey and Kyle Mihalik, and all the guys we have on our team, and all the great sponsors we have with Hankstafers and FVP, IGTG, and Mission. So we're lucky. We put together a really good operation, and we came out, trying to figure it all out, but we picked up on it pretty quickly, and I think that we are definitely a force to be reckoned with now.
Did you say 47 Wallies?
47. Yep, that was my 47th one.
So my first question is, where do those live? Is there like a room dedicated? Do you have a wall?
I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 right here in my living room, and there's about 30 something on my stairway. My daughter has one in her room, and I'm missing about 11 of them that I never did get when I was on the Army team with Don Schumacher Racing. They're all in DSR in Brownsburg, so yep. I didn't get a duplicate of those.
Wow. Man,
has it got to the point where like one's a doorstop?
Actually, the 47th one that I got, my very first Top Alcohol Dragster Wally, isn't even going to live in my home. I sent it home with the Mihalik brothers. I figured they deserved it more than I did. I just get to drive the car straight down the racetrack. They do all the hard work, so I wanted it to be theirs.
Wow, that's pretty awesome.
Certainly is. So, look, you've been in this, like you said, Texas coming up be a year, and Texas last year was a spectacular race for you in competition. I'm sure you're looking forward to getting back there, but at this point now, do you feel like a dragster girl? Or you?
I do. I do. It was so funny to call myself a race car driver after all the years of riding motorcycles. I mean, I started up racing motorcycles when I was 6 years old. Did that for several years and started drag racing motorcycles at like 17 or 18 years old. So I never considered myself a car girl or a car person at all. As a matter of fact, when Antron Brown mentioned that he wanted me to switch to dragsters, I pretty much laughed at him and said, that's never going to happen. I'm just not a car person. He's like, well, why not? I said, because I don't have any desire whatsoever to drive a dragster. And then, the more he spoke to me about it, and the more I just decided, I thought about the fact that I had given 27 years of my life to pro stock motorcycle. I've pretty much accomplished every single thing I ever wanted to do there, and it was time for me to move on and try something else. So I gave it a try. It was a shot in the dark. I really did think, I am not going to like this. It is not going to be for me. And even after the first day in the car, I was pretty sure that I do not like this, and this is not for me. And Antron said, just give it another shot. The second day of testing, he kept saying, I know it's going to be better. The fear of the unknown will be gone, and you know what to do now, and you know how it feels, and I think you're going to like it. And he was right. That second day of testing, everything came together, and I started to have a little bit of fun. I don't think I fell in love with it till probably around the 10th pass in the car. That's when I was like, you know what? I should have did this 10 years ago. So I'm so better late than never, but I'm sure glad I did it.
That's really awesome. I feel like, and I don't have any experience being around Antron at all, but I feel like he is really going to push the sport forward. He is really good. Yeah. Just he has a vision for what he wants, and I see it working out for him.
He does. He loves drag racing. He's a team owner now. He took over his whole Top Fuel team that had to be a scary thing to do, but he's doing an amazing job because he's surrounded by amazing people that are helping him out. But he does see the sport so much different than most people see it. You know, a lot of people come out and they want to be the star. They want to be the superstar. They want to be the driver, the one that takes, I'm not going to say drivers want to take all the credit, but you know, they love being in the limelight. And Antron enjoys that part of it. He does a good job because he loves the fan interaction and the sponsor relations, but he definitely sees the sport in a different light, and he wants to do whatever he can to help everybody else. Even sometimes I think, Antron, why are you helping them? You know, that is the competition. You know, I've caught him in other people's pit helping them get fitted in their car, or do something that's going to make them better, and teaching them or coaching them. And I don't understand it. We're trying to beat those people, but he just sees it as, if you put more water in the lake, all the boats rise. So he's trying to make sure that everybody is better and everybody has a better opportunity. And that's why he started the AB Accelerate program, which is what I'm in. And that's, we're running the A Fuel Dragster under that program. And that is a program that, whether you're a driver or a crew guy or a marketing person, you can get involved in the AB Accelerate program, and Antron and his team and his crew of people will help you learn everything there is to know in whatever category you're wanting to grow in. And it's kind of like just, he's a mentor, or whoever he has working with him is a mentor, and he will help you accelerate into the career of NHRA drag racing. So I'm glad to be a part of that with him.
Yeah, that's great.
Well, Angelle, as you have been accelerating in the top alcohol dragster ranks, top alcohol dragster competition and chasing for a championship is a bit different from the NHRA Mission Food ranks, where it's just national event after national event after national event. You've experienced it at the local level and No Problem Raceway early this year at a regional competition, and through up to winning a national event. What has stood out this year in competition that just is different from the time of traveling the country chasing a Mission Foods championship?
I'd have to say the biggest thing that stands out to me is the camaraderie in the class and the way people treat each other. It seems like in the pro category, it's cutthroat. Everybody's there to win at all costs, no matter what. They're pretty fierce. They can be friends off the racetrack a little bit at least, but on the racetrack, everybody's an enemy. And that's, good to some degree. But in the alcohol dragster class, I have come to realize that these people are still at the grassroots foundation of it, where they're still having a good time. The pressure of the huge marketing partners, or, trying to win the championship, even though everybody would love to do that, it still seems like it's more for fun. They're living their best life out there. Everybody's helping everyone. Everybody's supporting everyone. My first race that I did really well at, I feel, was Indy. We had gone rounds before, but Indy, for some reason, it just feels like that's where we really started to move forward. And I was going round after round after round, made it to the final. All my competitors were high-fiving me and hooping and hollering on the way back to the pits. So it just seemed so genuine that they were excited that I was doing well. And in no way did I feel like anyone was jealous or, mad about my success at all. Everybody was very supportive, and it felt so welcoming, and I really enjoyed it, and it makes me love this class. Of course, my goal is to move on to Top Fuel eventually. That's also Antron's idea. That's what he wants me to do. But I have told them, that would be great and I would love it. Of course, the money has to be there, so we have to find the right marketing partners to be able to fund that program. But if that doesn't happen, I have definitely found a home in this category, and I love the people there, and I'm just happy and enjoying it, and I would be just fine staying where I am.
You talk about moving up. How long did you race pro stock motorcycle? And then this is your first year in top alcohol, right?
Yes, I started racing pro stock bike in the NHRA in July of 1996. That was my first race there in Denver, Colorado. So Bandimere Speedway has a very important part of my heart. So it was devastating when they closed that track. But that was a long time ago. Like I said, I've spent a lot of my adult life with the NHRA and pro stock motorcycles, and I feel like I've started all over again. You know, I've been reborn in drag racing, and I'm starting from scratch, from the beginning, a rookie, you know, learning every step of the way in the Top Alcohol dragster. And it seems like the fun is definitely back for me. I don't have the pressure on myself that I had on Pro Stock Bike. I still have lots of wonderful, really big sponsors and a lot of people watching. But for some reason, I was able to flush everything that ever messed up my driving on a Pro Stock Bike. It is gone, and I am 100% cool and comfortable and calm and having fun, and I feel no pressure, and I am really, really enjoying myself again. And I
Well,
mean, that means a lot, because if you have any doubt in yourself whatsoever in drag racing, it could be catastrophic. I mean, when you start not believing that you can do something, it's over for you. And I actually let myself get to that point in Pro Stock Bike, and I'm completely different in this car.
well, and that was kind of where I was going with that too, was the staying power to stay in that and fight through a lot of those nerves, a lot of the anxiety that would come with the ups and downs of racing at that professional level. And now it's all new. It's going to be
Yeah.
like it's the same 1,320 feet, but it's so different
Yeah,
as far
it is
as
very different.
the people you'll meet, the style of racing, just the entire community. That's pretty awesome. I'm excited for you.
Yeah.
Angelle, we're winding down this season. I know there's regional action at Worldwide Technology Raceway this very weekend. In fact, what still remains for you on your schedule? You mentioned the Fall Nationals. What else beyond?
Yeah, I kind of wish I was there. We didn't race the national event because Top Alcohol Dragster wasn't there this weekend, and I do believe they are racing there this weekend. We're not at that event ourselves, though, with the Mahalik brothers and the Hankstapers car. Antron, however, is there with his son Anson. They're racing this weekend, so I'm wishing them luck. Hope they do well. What's next for me is the Stampede of Speed in Dallas. I'm looking forward to that race. I always do. I love that racetrack, especially the Stampede of Speed. They have really done some awesome things with that event and that track. It's a week long of a whole bunch of fun, and I'll get out there on Wednesday. We start running on Thursday. There's a fan fest Thursday evening. There's a champions dinner. There's a concert. There's so much going on. It's really a great week for us. I'll have a couple of weekends off after Dallas. We'll be going into Vegas for the Nationals. We had contemplated doing the Vegas Regional, but I don't think that's going to happen now. But I will be in Vegas for quite some time. I'm going to spend a whole week there because after the race, we stay for the SEMA show. So I'll be at the NHRA booth with that, and probably hopping around at several other sponsor booths while we're there. And then I'll come home for a little bit, and we'll finish it off in Pomona. We will do the Nationals in Pomona and then head on to the banquets, awards banquets. I'm not sure about what's going to happen with the Lucas Oil banquet. I don't know anything about that yet. I'll be new to that, but I'll definitely be at the NHRA mission banquet. I'm hoping that my teammate Antron Brown and the Matco Tools team will get that championship. They're leading the points right now. I'm keeping my fingers crossed for them. They're doing an excellent job, but the season seems to be ending just around the corner, but there's a lot to do before we finish it. And then I'm hoping that sometime in the near future, Antron says, we will start testing the Top Fuel car so that I can secure my Top Fuel license for next year. And then we'll just keep our fingers crossed from there and see what happens for next year.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, there you have it. That was obviously the next natural question is, have you got in the Top Fuel cockpit as of yet? So that
I have been in it
out there. Oh,
yeah, I have
okay.
been in it. I have not driven it. I have warmed it up in the pit. That's about all I've done. And that is exciting enough. Let me tell you, if you could only imagine what that feels like to be in the cockpit of an 11,000 horsepower animal like that, even just warming it up where it's not going anywhere, but to feel the vibration, smell the nitro, the power that's behind you is unbelievable. I can't even imagine what it's going to feel like when I stomp on that pedal and it takes off. So I'm nervous and excited, but ready to do it. When he had mentioned that he wanted me to start testing before the U.S. Nationals. Fortunately for me, that did not happen. We couldn't put a test session together with the time frame of everybody's schedule, but I don't think I was ready then anyway, and I do believe that I'm ready now. So I've gotten enough runs in the A-Fuel car. I'm very comfortable. I know what's happening. I know what to do. Now, by any means, I'm not saying I'm going to hit that pedal and drive it all the way to the 1,000 foot. It's probably going to be a 300-foot run and then shut it off and, work our way a little further each time after that. But I'm definitely ready to give it a try.
Yeah, it's absolute. I have not felt top fuel 11,000 horsepower warming up, but I have felt what you feel in top alcohol dragster, and it's amazing that switch over from methanol and that engine begins grunting on that nitromethane. It is like, wow, that's different. There's
Yeah.
some power behind me now.
Yep. It really is like a crazy wild animal that's trying to break loose. And, one of the exciting parts that I don't know if a lot of people know, I know the car guys, the racers know, but your typical fan doesn't realize that I actually run more nitromethane in my A-Fuel car than Antron does, or a higher percentage than Antron does in his top fuel car. So I'm running, I think 95% and he's at 89%. But because of that blower, we're naturally aspirated, but when you add that blower to the car, it changes things drastically. But I got excited because I didn't even know that myself. I didn't know anything about A-Fuel before I got in it, but I thought it was just alcohol. And then when I learned that it's a higher percentage of nitromethane, I felt really proud of myself. I'm driving a nitro car just without a blower. So it's still exciting though. I'm still doing 280 miles an hour in the quarter. So, a lot could go wrong, but we're managing to keep it straight and keep the shiny side up, and everything's going right so far.
Well, Angelle, it is certainly exciting that you're doing what you're doing. What a great testimony of reinventing and reinvigorating oneself in a career, and you keep up the good work. And thank you for your time. Such an honor to have you on the show tonight. Appreciate it.
You're very welcome. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Have a good evening.
Thanks. You too.
All right, folks, that was Angelle Sampey with us. We did lose Michael, but we got him back. Technical difficulties live. You never know. It can happen at any time, anywhere. Just glad we're able to have a show tonight. It's amazing, Angelle, going from 2 wheels to 4 and just reinventing herself. And it's so good to hear that she seems like has fallen back in love with drag racing. So good to hear that.
Yeah, that was really cool. I appreciate you bringing me on because those are folks that I would never talk to being in the drag and drive stuff. And there's so many opportunities for them ahead. Just her talking about the AB program, that's awesome. And how he's bringing up so many people and all the extra stuff that you can do within that program and within the NHRA. I mean, she spent 27 years professionally NHRA racing. That's awesome.
It's spectacular. Speaking of, personalities, Alex Taylor, that you're certainly familiar with, she's got a partnership with an entity that we've got a partnership with, Competition Plus. And this particular entity, they had a good Sunday at Worldwide Technology Raceway with Jack Beckman. You could say that for the peak funny car, it was a peak moment. This word from Peak, and then we're going to come back and talk a little bit more about drag racing.
If you want to take your vehicle's performance to new heights, you got to give it Peak. Like our original equipment technology, antifreeze, and coolant, our formulas match the vehicle manufacturer's technology requirements so that we have the perfect match for every vehicle. That's one reason why Peak is among the fastest growing brands of coolant in America. We work harder to earn the trust of people like you every day.
So they're at Worldwide Technology Raceway. Julie Nataas, who we had earlier on the show, made her debut. And in round 1, she had faced Tony Schumacher. Tony Schumacher went on to win the race in Top Fuel. Jack Beckman, filling in for John Force, wins in Funny Car. Dallas Glenn earns the Wally in Pro Stock, and Gage Herrera is back in the saddle again, winning in Pro Stock Motorcycle. I'm curious, Michael, you have admitted that you're very focused on the drag and drive scene, and drag racing being so diverse. which is a beautiful thing. There are so many areas to cover, and you honestly can't cover it all. Like I attempt to with the Monday Morning Racer platform, and you just can't hit the share button enough on everything that's happening in the radio world, the No Time world, the Drag and Drive world, the NHRA world, the IHRA, the WDRA, Funny Car Chaos, so on, so on, so on, and so on in the world of drag racing. But from the Worldwide Technology Raceway, I do got to ask, what did you happen to see come across your channels casually from the NHRA?
Man, really, Antron winning, and it's probably because I follow him on Instagram, so I saw that. And then a lot of what I see a lot of, and is the videos that are put out of the side-by-side passes, the close races that come from NHRA, a lot of the Monday Morning Racer stuff that comes out. I see that as I'm going down through the posts and everything. So, man, I don't know. It's unless it's street cars, it's hard for me to keep up with. I try not to put too much in this little brain I got.
No, and I bring that up because it's interesting just how, again, the algorithm feeds you what it thinks you want to see.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm like, wow, you know me really well. You know me really well. I wanted
Yes.
to see that. I didn't know it, but I do now. Thank you for that. But other times you're like, man, I hadn't seen this in a while. Let me go search after it. So in NHRA drag racing, Antron Brown, as Angelle mentioned, he's leading the points in top fuel. Your top 5 looks like this. Second, Justin Ashley. Third, Sean Langdon. Doug Coletta is 4th, and 5th is Steve Torrance. And people are always asking the do or done line. I think right now you're looking at that top 5 is it, playing for the championship in top fuel. And Doug Coletta and Steve Torrance have got to do something now going into the next race. Concerning Funny Car, Austin Prock leads the way by a wide margin. John Force being filled in by Jack Beckman, 2nd. Bob Tasker, the 3rd, is 3rd. And Ron Capps, 4th. Matt Hagan is 5th. And I really feel like that it's a 3-horse race right there between Austin Prock, Jack Beckman, and Bob Tasker, the 3rd. Pro Stock, we've got an interesting battle there, Michael, and we might actually see someone that's not Erica Enders, not Greg Anderson, win this championship. Dallas Glenn leads, 31 points behind is Aaron Stanfield. And then 4th, Erica Enders, Erica Enders 3rd, Greg Anderson 4th, and then Jed Coughlin is 5th. Now, I'm sure you've heard about Gage Herrera's dominance. Have you heard about that?
Oh,
well,
he's been on a run.
But he kind of tripped up here recently going into the countdown. And the first 2 races of the countdown, he doesn't win. He's back in the saddle, picks up a win here. He's only leading Matt Smith by 34 points. Richard Gadsden is 3rd. Hector Arana Jr. is 4th, and 5th is Chase Van Zandt. So we have got some interesting battles across the board, except really it looks like in Funny Car, it's time. Jack Beckman's got to do something in Dallas. Bob Tasker's got to do something in Dallas, and Austin needs to start tripping up, or there's not going to be much of a fight there. So, folks, put in the comment section what you think of the points battle thus far in the NHRA Mission Foods series, and let us know who you think is going to earn these championships in their particular classes. Michael, bringing you on, good to have you on. Definitely want to take the time to talk drag and drive. I got to see it firsthand a couple years ago covering Hot Rod Drag Week, the granddaddy of them all, if you will. And what a great time to see this infusion of hot rodding and drag racing, and just done so differently. It's not about turning on a wind light. It's about averaging out ET and doing it on the road and getting the next place and just surviving while competing. So what is the scoop in the drag and drive world? It wasn't that long ago we got done with Hot Rod Drag Week. I thought it was interesting. I saw during Hot Rod Drag Week that Rocky Mountain had something going on at the same time. I felt it was fascinating. It seems like Sick just continues to come up with sick this and sick that, and they're just spreading the sickness wherever they can. So what is happening in the drag and drive world?
Well, so every national level event, it sells out at 250 to 350 cars. Okay, so there is a definite need and a definite want. People are begging for this. They're wanting to do drag and drives. We're seeing a lot of manufacturers come back out with products that are helping cars live longer. You're talking cars that shouldn't be street worthy are now making 1,000-mile drives. And I think it really goes back to when we were all in high school, we had to drive our hot rod, right? You get that feeling of accomplishment again to drive, make a pass each day. This last week, Super Week is what Eric White, my co-host, and I have been calling it, because it's really 3 national level drag and drive events have never been hosted in the same weekend. 3 of them across the country were hosted, 800 plus cars, 350 cars at Hot Rod Drag Week this year. People want to get out. They want to enjoy these cars. They kind of want that test of man and machine. They want to test their fortitude. Can we keep this car going? Can we continue to beat on this thing? And what parts are we going to need? How creative can I get on the side of the road to fix a brake line if it messes up? How can I find a part for a 904 transmission like Chuck Sorensen attempted to? And he was going to rebuild the transmission in the parking lot. I think people are looking for a little bit of that. We had some years where we didn't do much, and I think now people are wanting to get out and about and enjoy themselves, enjoy these cars that we've all built.
Do not throw the beer can cardboard box away. That might be your next gasket. Do not throw it away.
Yes. Yeah. And there are a few of those. That's another thing people enjoy is some parking lot beers kind of late at night. Hot Rod Drag Week races in the mornings. And so then you make your drive in the afternoon. So you end up at the hotel about 9 or 10 o'clock at night. If you're lucky, enjoy some time with your friends, and then you go to bed and do it all again the next day. Where race week, Rocky Mountain 2.0 is what a lot of folks call it, because they now host 2 a year. And those guys, they race in the evening. So you race until 11, and then you change your car over, and then you drive to your hotel, which is generally 20 minutes to an hour away. And then you stay up till 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning talking. Then you get back up at 7 o'clock in the morning, and you drive 300 miles in a day to get to your next racetrack. So I think it gives racers a lot of reason to visit new racetracks. We have a lot of people that travel from across the country to do these events that would have no reason to go to, Tulsa Raceway Park or Ennis, Texas, or, like me. I mean, I visited Martin with Midwest Drag Race Series, but I would have never gone up there for just a regular drag race, or Milan Dragway, or, Indy. I mean, obviously that's kind of this, you got to go to Indy at some point in your life, but national trails, I would have never been to Ohio. I have no reason to go to Ohio except Hot Rod Drag Week was there.
Right. And that's something Drag and Drive is doing for drag strips, and answering a question to a problem like, what do we do in the middle of the week?
Oh, yeah.
How do we utilize our facility? Well, if you can have a Drag and Drive come through 2 days of the week, you kick off and end there. Well, you figured out that problem, figured it out, and provided a solution. And the great thing about Drag and Drive is it doesn't have to be a national event level track each and every visit for it to be successful. Now, sure, racers want to go to nice facilities just as much as anyone else, but I was excited. The first Drag and Drive event I participated in went to some historic facilities such as Byron and Cordova, Indy, Worldwide Technology Raceway, and got to experience those. And I can remember Byron, my first ever visit there, Hot Rod Drag Week. The crowd was phenomenal for the middle of the day. It was spectacular. People coming out to enjoy what effectively is a rolling hot rodding show that they happen to do drag racing as well. And you just have everything. You have the true street car to Tom Bailey with a pro mod that's got lights and turn signals.
Yeah, 100%. And it's funny, a horn, headlights, taillights, blinkers, and a horn. That's what you need, right? But you also have to be roadworthy, man. You've got to be able to drive this thing. You start thinking about 1,000 miles worth of somewhere. That's a lot of street miles. There's a lot of race cars, a lot of race car people right now, right there, that are watching this right now, that do not drive their cool car 1,000 miles a year. And these guys are doing it in a week.
Right. And, hey, speaking of
Dude, let's
Leslie
go,
Horn,
Leslie.
owner of the
Let's
Southeast
go.
Gassers Association, he's like, hey, I want to do drag and drive soon.
Yep.
So that would be, it'd be interesting. Someone figured out how to do like a Sega legal drag and drive car. That would be an insane combination.
Yeah, so let's talk about Southeast Gassers and why they should support Rocky Mountain Race Week, Mega Week in 2025, because Matt Frost has gone hardcore gasser rules for the 2025 event and is looking for 20 plus gassers to do it. And listen, usually gasser rules in Drag and Drive are pretty relaxed.
Right,
But
right.
he's not doing that anymore. He has gone full bore. He wants gassers. He wants the cool experience. He wants people to see how awesome gassers are. So Rocky Mountain Race Week, Mega Week, 600 cars, 14 hours a day of drag racing plus drive. It's going to be nuts, man. It's going to be the best event, I think, for 2025 that's going to be out there.
Speaking of Southeast Gassers Association, you're no stranger to that this year. And I remember bumping into you at Brainerd Motorsports Park. I'm like, hey man, good to see you. By the way, this is a little different than gassers you're used to in the hot, the hot rod, drag week and drag and drive scene. You've experienced Sega racing firsthand. Why do people need to experience this nostalgic revival and reenactment of drag racing from days of old?
Well, I think there's folks that are one generation above me that they saw that initially, right? Where folks my age and maybe the next generation that's coming up, they haven't seen that level of technology that is still old school stuff, carburetors and things like that. But these guys are real. I mean, low 5-second passes, stick shift, big wheelies. Let's go, dude. I mean, big blocks, making big power, making big sound and big burnouts and all the cool stuff. Girls backing these guys up that are dressed in appropriate attire. I mean, like it's amazing. I recommend a Southeast Gassers Association event to everyone.
It really is. It really is. It is a good time, and not this weekend, but the weekend after this one coming. They are down in Gulfport, Mississippi, at Gulfport Dragway. Big event because it's like cruising the coast, so car shows everywhere, and people, cruising in. Literally, I mean, you're going to get a car show and a drag race there in Gulfport, Mississippi. So, folks, get out if you don't have any plans, not this weekend, but the weekend after next. There's plenty of drag racing this weekend. I mentioned earlier, Worldwide Technology Raceway has got divisional and regional action. Beach Bend Raceway, not this weekend, but I believe the weekend, same as Sega, they've got a gasser event as well going on, a nostalgia event. There's drag racing happening all over. Check your local drag strip for what they have got going. Oh, this weekend, I believe it's this weekend, Byron, speaking of Byron Dragway, they have the wheel standing championships. Like if you've ever seen that video on competitionplus.com on the YouTube channel, it is absolutely wild. The whole intention is how long can I send my car on the back wheels and not wreck?
Yeah, it's amazing. And I think they get extra points. David White, Eric's dad, was saying they get extra points if they flip over backwards. I mean, like, that sounds awesome.
Spectacular event at a historic track and a venue that if you have not been able to mark it off your list, you certainly need to mark it off your list. All right, Michael. Drag and Drive, when I think about it, it is routinely quarter mile. That is what I routinely see. But there are a lot of drag strips that they're just not quarter mile. They are 8th mile facilities. So what is out there for the 8th mile racer facility-wise in the drag and drive world?
Yep. So Southeast Street and Eat, which happens in November this year, it is 100% 8th miles. You got Shady Side Dragway, all the tracks that are going to be around in that part of the country that are sticky as all get out. And then also love that 8th mile grudgy kind of racing. They've got, Southeast Street Meet is leading the way with 8th mile. We have Miles of Mayhem, which this year was all 8th mile tracks in Canada. Redwood Rally did most of their classes as 8th mile, and that's in Northern California and Oregon. And then you're still seeing, Adam Dory had a great comment on this a couple weeks ago, was that the struggle for a lot of big national level events like Drag Week is that they need a spot that somebody can go low 6s at 240 miles an hour. And those kind of places are getting harder to find, as to where you could also put that in a driving radius. So,
Sure.
I think as we move the next few years, we're going to see some 8th mile stuff
All right. Yes.
from these national events.
Right. It's a situation. There's a lot of 8th mile drag strips just
Yep.
because of where they're situated. That's
Yep.
what just worked. I think of Shadyside's not being a quarter mile anytime soon. It's just not happening.
No,
where they're
and it shouldn't
situated.
be. It should not
Right.
be. It should. No, don't change that. I love that track. The facility there's amazing. Sean Kohut there and on Facebook says Big Sky Race Week in Montana was 8th mile this year as well. Yeah, so I forgot about that one. Yeah, so I think we're going to see some of the changes come to that, and I say bring it on, man. I love it. 8th mile is where you're going to get all your speed, anyways.
Right. So I think for the typical NHRA fan, when they think drag and drive, they're thinking probably weird little trailers with a bunch of tools and like Alex Taylor and Tim Bailey. Okay.
Mhm.
And Bryant Goldstone, is that right?
He's the man.
Bryant,
Yep.
the javelin, yes.
Yeah.
He won Hot Rod Drag Week this
Yep.
year, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
his
that was
first
cool.
one to ever overall win. His story is amazing.
Also, yeah, I got to tell them a little bit, like just by chance, and the Hot Rod Drag Week that I went to, and neat group, cool car,
Yeah.
AMC Javelin, so neat. Blew the doors off, literally.
Yeah.
That Hot Rod Drag Week, but most people think that.
Mm-hmm.
Where is the actual most popular
Oh man.
class segment in Drag and Drive, though? What is the bulk of it?
Yeah, 10 and 12 seconds from 10.0 to 10.99 and 12.0 to 12.99 is 30% of the field. No, I mean, and that's across the board everywhere. Like Rocky Mountain Race Week, sorry, the 2.0, there were 38 cars entered in their 12.0 index and actually 37 cars entered in the 14.0 index. So just get in where you fit in. What we're seeing now, now that I have all of this historical stuff, is guys get in with their 12-second late model car while they build something. Then it's like 12s and low 11s, maybe some 10s, and then like they're 10.0 competitive, and then they upgrade to a different car or build that one out. That's 850. So we're seeing a lot of that move. Like this year in the 850 class for Drag Week, there were 43 cars entered in that class. Not that it went that fast, but that's where people are thinking like, hey, my car is capable of doing this. One thing I do want to tell people that are watching that are intending to do a drag and drive is really look at the classes. We have a lot of classes that are very popular by name, and a lot of classes that you could win or podium by just being in that class and finishing. So, Big Block NA is a great class example of that in Hot Rod Drag Week. There were literally nobody signed up for that class. And then by the end of day one, we had 5 in it and 3 people finished. I mean, there were plenty of other naturally aspirated big blocks in other classes that could have given those guys a better run for their money.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yes, and as you stated there, finish is the
Yeah,
critical
that's the
thing.
thing.
Like, has Blasphemy, has he finished yet? I don't know. He might be still stuck in Worldwide Technology Raceway from the last time I covered it.
He may be.
ago.
He's just not going to leave that till he finishes making a pass there. That's a struggle of a week, and that's a great video series for Mike Finnegan fans. That's 2-hour videos of the struggle they had that week.
Oh, it was epic. It was epic to start leaving Worldwide Technology Raceway, and I'm like, what's going on over here? And walk over there and start filming, start watching. And as I stated to Mr. Finnegan, I said, Mr. Finnegan, it seems that a fiasco has festered.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Now, Michael,
go ahead.
Go ahead, man.
Well, I was going to say one shout out I want to give to Bryant Goldstone. So they've done 4 national level events this year, 4 week-long events. They've won every single one of them they've entered, and they've reset records in 3 of them for their class. Like they spent 38 hours awake on Rocky Mountain Race Week earlier in the year fixing an oil pan that was damaged on the road. This last time at Drag Week, they had to pull the engine and repair a cylinder head that they literally turned it into molten lava and had to weld it up to fix the the water jacket and the cylinder head, the port there, or the combustion chamber, and fixed it. Drove 200 miles to get to Milan, and then swapped the transmission in the parking lot on their backs at Milan, and finish and win the week. I mean, the level of competition within Bryant Goldstone and Brian Robbins is unparalleled for 2024.
Absolutely insane, the dedication and the amount of work to go in and win. Again, and I say this with no disrespect to the Drag and Drive world, but for not that much.
Dude, they win any money.
Right.
They win any money at all. They want a plaque. They want a trophy.
The notoriety.
Yeah.
We have this very cool, very fast car. And oh, by the way, it's not a trailer queen. We can drive it.
Yeah. Yeah. And actually it pulls a trailer that weighs about 30. Well, it's probably 2,800 pounds that they pull with that car. So again, let's talk about that for 2 seconds. I promise. Think of the efficiency and the level of engineering that comes out of making a car live at that level, that can then also help, regular race cars that never see the street. So if your transmission builder can build a transmission for that, or your engine builder can build Bryant Goldstone's engine to live through all that, he can build you an engine that's going to run sixes every weekend and do what you want it to,
Right. Motorsports has pushed the envelope for what you and I even purchase. It has always done that. And it is doing that now. And I hope there are plenty of engineers that are, in fact, looking at the Drag and Drive world, because it is so impressive what people are able to do with essentially, everybody's like, oh, street car. They are, but they're not. They're pro. Some of them, it's like, what are these things? And yet they compete at such a high level. And look, even the people, it's fascinating that we're in a world where people are like, oh, 10 seconds. Like, I remember growing up, a 10-second car was like quick.
Hey, it's still quick. It's still quick. There's a lot of keyboard warriors that think that is not very fast, but it will definitely scare you and can get out of your hand quickly, very quickly.
All right. I'm going to end with this on the Drag and Drive. Watching a little bit of Hot Rod Drag Week, an individual finally did bring a center steer altered type of vehicle out there racing. And then
Leroy.
Also you had the boat. I don't even know the full story on that. You've got the milk truck. What is the wildest thing out there right now in the Drag and Drive scene?
Hey, listen, Leroy's, whatever dragster you call that, that's pretty wild. Pro charged, nitrous injected. I mean, like it's got a bunch of really cool stuff. He didn't get a pass put together this week that was fast, but the boat was super cool. It was literally over an E46 BMW chassis with a big turbo on it. Super cool setup there. I mean, there's so many different combos that it really is hard. There was a basically bolt on WRX. I mean, like there's just wild stuff. The boat's probably the wildest right now, though, because he also pulled a gutted out jet ski as their like trailer for equipment. So I mean, they fit the whole thing. They had the Bahama shirts on, everything. They were having a boatload of fun all the time. So
they at least won the theme award, right?
Yes.
Carrying it all the way through. That's cool. Again, folks, if you have not experienced a Drag and Drive, you have got to do it. It is so cool. If you like hot rodding, if you like drag racing, I think it might be the perfect place, because somewhere hot rodding and drag racing in a lot of ways split. But in the Drag and Drive world, you see it coming back together, and it is so cool to see. So y'all have got to experience it. And folks, you can experience it regularly with Mr. Michael Narks. Michael, where can people follow you?
Oh, Drag Drive Repeat everywhere. We are everything. We TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. We do it all. We host 2 weekly live streams. On Wednesday nights, we're live at 8 p.m. Eastern, talking 2 hours. We have Drag and Drive guests. We have stats and stories and all the fun stuff there. And then on Saturday mornings, we do the Drag and Drive Repeat news, which is hour-long, hard-hitting. Everything we can cram in an hour, we're putting it in there. There's no fluff on the Saturday morning stuff.
Throwdown in T-Town coming up soon for Tulsa Raceway Park.
I can't wait, man. I can't wait. We're going to be, we've got a ton of pro mods and funny cars already signed up. Top Sportsman, Top Dragster. Those classes for Midwest Drag Race Series are so tight right now that this race we go to this weekend at Pine Valley in Lufkin, Texas is going to be This is going to make or break what people will have to do at Throwdown. And at Throwdown in the springtime, we had 27,000 people in there. So people need to get signed up now, get ready, get your VIP passes. It's going to be intense. The level of pro mod cars that we've seen this year with Midwest it's been unparalleled for anything that's happened in the past. You know, Ellen's done an amazing job putting the list together and points and everything that's come from there. Keith Haney continues to upgrade the Black Mamba. You know, he's more than 990 cubic inches of nitrous power now, like 6 huge kits on it. I mean, Mark Mickey, twin turbo car, is leading points right now and just dominating that class. So it's going to be interesting to see if he can pull off a championship. We'll now have Midwest will have a screw blower champion, a nitrous champion, and then a turbo champion. So it's man, everything's up in there. I love it. Bring it. Throwdown at T-Town, October 18th and 19th in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
All right. My weekend is technically open right now for that. I might have to go
bud.
to
I'm
Tulsa
ready.
for the first time ever and experience some Midwest drag racing. You know how I like my funny cars, and they'll be there. So might have to do that. Michael, look, it's been a joy to have you on. Thank you for filling in for Dugenay. Folks, Dugenay was not here tonight. He was affected by the storm. Not bad, but he is without power there in Valdosta, Georgia, and they're working on that, and he is A-OK. We'll have power back soon enough and be good to go. Michael, thank you once again. Folks, thank you for watching. Hit the like button, hit the share button. This has been the Competition Plus Power Hour, brought to you by Weldon High Performance.